Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the first item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The first item on the agenda is the State of the City Address delivered by Mayor Gavin Butler.
Before I start, I just want to recognise my wife and her best friend, Sarah, who's here from Australia, and she leaves tomorrow. I want to say a big thank you to my wife and to all of our wives and husbands and partners and friends who truly make the sacrifice so we can be up here to do the work of the city. So I want to say thank you to you all. Thank you. And Mitchell just pointed to someone. Okay, here we go. So good evening. Thank you for attending or tuning in for State of the City tonight. I will present the 2024 City of Annapolis budget and report on all the ways we are building a transparent, more resilient, more connected, and more equitable city. Let us start with transparency. The idea behind this is that government is accountable and provides current information to residents. During my first term, I sought a more transparent budget and accounting process. For the past 5 years, we have delivered clear, fully accounted budgets with prudent, rainy day reserves. I thank Finance Director Jodie Dickinson and her team for working to deliver this new level of transparency and accountability. In our current operating budget, we remain in a strong position. We are roughly $2 million over in revenue and $5 million under in expenses. That positioning strengthens our proposal for fiscal year 2024. Together, our FY24 operating and capital budgets represent a balanced budget with no property tax increase. Just going to repeat that, no property tax increase. We are able to do this while delivering new services and infrastructure investment, thanks to responsible management and the hard work and innovation of staff across the city who have secured unprecedented levels of grant funding. They are grant writing ninjas. You know who you are. Throughout this remarks, I will give these specifics about how they minimise the burden on the city taxpayer. It's not just our finances. We are working to build transparency and accountability across all aspects of city government. This includes planning for our city long-term future. Annapolis Ahead 2040, the city's comprehensive plan required by the state every 10 years, will be unveiled for public comment in early summer. The Department of Planning and Zoning is in charge of this effort, and I thank Acting Director Tom Smith for his team's work on this multi-year process. In public safety, our Annapolis Police Department, under the direction of Chief Edward Jackson, has worked with our information technology staff to roll out the first ever homicide and gun violence database. This portal allows residents to track gunshots and crime involving gunplay. The database is available to the public at annapolis.gov/police. Delivering quality service is another key goal. Constituents expect professional and courteous treatment and delivery of quality government services. I'm pleased to let you know about some of the ways our departments are delivering. In the arena of public safety, Annapolis Police are expected to catch the bad guys. They are thankfully very good at that part of the job. Our police have been very successful in solving the crimes they investigate, which send an important message about how we value and enforce public safety. The APD has also had a huge success in working with state, federal and law enforcement partners to take guns and drugs off the street. Our police department also continues deployment of their successful community policing model. Chief Jackson actively implements policies to ensure that in Annapolis, we police crime, not people. For example, the Chief has tasked Captain Lamar Howard with using targeted units to address common complaints in specific neighbourhoods. Officers focus on reducing crime and working with residents to address complaints. So a big thank you to Captain Howard for that. I would also like to highlight the work of Robert Horn from Annapolis Police. He is responsible for the successful re-entry program. This work provides avenues for individuals coming out of a period of incarceration to avoid returning to criminal behaviour. Participants are given the opportunity to pursue vocational training. It is equal parts crime prevention and social work. Thank you to Officer Horn, and he is here today. Please stand up and be recognised. Alongside community efforts to divert young people from trouble, Annapolis Police launched the new PAL boxing program and continued Coffee with a Cop and movie nights so that children can positively interact with law enforcement. Under the direction of leadership of David Gerald, the Department of Public Works is responsible for a wide portfolio of resident-facing concerns. In 2022, DPW issued more than 794 building permits, with construction value of over $87 million. They maintain some 130 miles of main water, delivering an average of 3.4 million gallons of great-tasting Annapolis water each day. DPW is also responsible for 125 miles of sanitary sewer lines. In 2022, crews responded to 296 emergency sewer calls and cleaned nearly 130,000 feet of sewer mains. DPW's new Hudson Street facility is near completion. Expect a ribbon cutting in early May. The new facility will provide a centrally located base for operations, allowing one-stop shopping for crews so they are better positioned to continue their outstanding service to residents. Support and services to the business community have been led by Planning and Zoning Economics Development Team. Programs like the Seasonal Parklet Outdoor Dining, Small Business Saturday, and business organisation partnerships have helped Annapolis emerge from the pandemic in a strong position. In 2022, we welcomed 32 new businesses and nearly 24 more who expanded operations or relocated within Annapolis. Let's give a round of applause for those small businesses. In 2022, Recreation and Parks served the youth and families of Annapolis with facilities and programs for all ages, across all seasons. This includes 6 after-school children's sites, serving 203 children, and youth camps serving another 700 children. In West Annapolis, Recreation and Parks brought Tolson Park online, just one of a series of new parks across the city, including Elktonia and Carr's Beach Park, our latest city open space acquisition that was celebrated with a signing last August. Our Office of Emergency Management, under the direction of Kevin Simmons, works to keep the city prepared for any situation. Throughout the year, they help with special events and safety planning. One of the larger responsibilities this year was the inauguration of Governor Wes Moore and Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. That event included activation of the Emergency Operations Centre here in the city, with more than 1,000 personnel from across the state. In OEM's work to help residents with substance use disorder, they've sought grants to help the city operate 4 highly successful programs. Your Life Matters with the Annapolis Fire Department, the Naptown Anti-Dope Movement led by the Mayor's Office, APD's Substance Use Program, and OD Free Annapolis, an online portal that presents resources and information to families in need. Annapolis Fire, under the leadership of Chief Doug Romali, has administered Narcan the opioid antagonist 167 times. In all, more than 500 people, including numerous city staff, have been trained in CPR and Narcan administration. Narcan was administered by either family, friends, community advocates, or public safety personnel for 71% of all overdoses. As a result, these efforts in 2022 saw a 20% drop in total overdoses in the city. Overdose deaths fell by about 12%. Annapolis Fire responded to 12,917 calls for service, more than 9,000 for EMS, with another 3,000 plus for fire. In all those calls, the fire department ended 2022 with 0 fire deaths, continuing a zero loss record that began a dozen years ago. Tonight, I want to tell you about one of our AFD employees, firefighter First Class Dwayne Hunt, a 16-year veteran of Annapolis Fire and the 2022 Charles H. Steele Public Safety Award winner. Firefighter Hunt works at our Taylor Avenue Fire Station as part of the Special Operations Division. He has served as a mentor and field training officer for new hires and has assisted as a support instructor at our fire academy. He is a member of the Annapolis Honor Guard, works parades and he works special events. But on top of that, Firefighter Hunt serves the community. His shift doesn't end after work. He currently heads the varsity football coach, is a varsity football coach at Annapolis High School. He brings players to Parole Elementary to read to children. He was named Annapolis High's Distinguished Alumni and Hero of the Year by Calvary United Methodist Church. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to Firefighter First Class Dwayne Hunt of the Annapolis Fire Department, an example of an exemplary city employee. Dwayne, thank you for all you do. Please stand up.
Mr. Mayor, and that's my godson.
Thank you for letting us embarrass you. Thank you. In another area of service for the city acquired Berta Dock in 2022, giving us approximately 300 more linear feet of dock space for tall ships, non-profit recreational boats, and commercial leases. This year, we'll also advance our goal to build a more equitable and inclusive city. Equity requires government to treat people with a lens on fairness and justice and promote programs, events, and services that build inclusion and ensure all residents know they are valued and have a voice. One way we are working to achieve this is by actively and consciously building a more diverse city leadership team than ever before. We want all the children growing up in Annapolis to see people who look like them, working together and leading our city. Today, the City of Annapolis has a more diverse workforce and leadership than it has ever had before. This makes our city stronger and more effective than ever before. And I just want to thank you all for that. Our work for equity is also visible in numerous programs and initiatives. For example, the Office of Community Development in the Department of Planning and Zoning has been working closely with the Housing Authority of the City of Annapolis to work on a $400,000 HUD Choice Neighbourhoods initiative. This grant is to reimagine Eastport Terrace and Harbour House. At the conclusion of this community-driven process, we may qualify for up to $50 million in a HUD grant funding to redevelop these neighbourhoods into a mixed income, mixed use model. This will be an amazing reimagining of how we provide housing and how we build communities in Annapolis. C&I has held dozens of meetings and community events. It has included even our youngest residents who have given us innovative ideas about what they want to see in their new neighbourhood. The plan presentation for the redevelopment will be unveiled at a community meeting next Monday. The meeting is open to the public at 7 p.m. At the Eastport Methodist Church, and I thank everyone from the Housing Authority, from city staff, and residents from the community who have participated in this process. Planning staff have also worked on neighbourhood preservation projects, including winning significant grants, more from our grant writing ninjas, to fund Robert Eads Park on Clay Street and the preservation of Elktonia and Cars Beach in Ward 7, and more. Through our Office of Community Service, we have saved more than 100 families from eviction through rental assistance, managed social work of 200 plus families, provided ongoing community grants and funding alongside resource events, health fairs, toy drives, and translation services. I didn't bring my translator today, but I hope you can all understand Australian. On another front, our environmental resilience goals are critical for our future and what we leave to the next generation. And of course, you'll have seen the amazing progress on the rebuild of Hillman Garage. This work hadn't even begun when I gave my last State of the City address 1 year ago. But our new garage is set to reopen in June. Not only will it bring increased capacity, it includes environmental features like EV chargers, solar panels, gateless entry, smart technology, and storm water controls. The rebuilt Hillman Garage is, of course, the first step in the largest infrastructure project in the city's history, our reimagined City Dock. Thanks to an unprecedented program of community consultation, not only will the new City Dock Park protect our downtown from flooding, it will give residents and visitors a welcoming recreational space. And it will provide new investment opportunities to stimulate economic growth and jobs in Annapolis for years to come. Work on this long-imagined project will commence at the end of this year. Another of our grant-writing ninjas, our OEM staff, worked to secure grant funding for flood mitigation, including $3.2 million from the United States Department of Commerce, bringing the total of OEM secure grants for downtown flood mitigation to a total of $9.7 million. That is in addition to millions in other state and federal grants. Alongside that effort, planning and zoning staff kicked off the city's first ever public water access plan with funding provided by the National Park Service. Thanks again to our grant-writing ninjas, this plan fulfills one of the major recommendations of the 2021 Maritime Task Force. Environmental goals are not simply met through infrastructure projects. We also have to do the day-to-day things to make our world a better place. Department of Public Works staff continued the successful Truxton Park composting program, collecting more than 33,000 pounds of food waste. DPW also pursued and received a $400,000 grant funding for public water access at Hawkins Cove, adding to the $500,000 announced by EPA in December. They also worked on the Anne Arundel County Watershed Grant Program on stormwater restoration projects at Cedar Ridge and coming this year at Truxton Cove. DPW tackled stormwater management projects, including the removal of 85 cubic yards of debris from 1,460 stormwater inlets. So 85 cubic yards represents 8 full-side dump truck loads that could have ended up in the bay. And David Gerald is here now, and I'm going to embarrass him if he could stand up, please. This is Director Gerald. After the EPA approved our no discharge zone, the Harbour Master's Office now notifies all vessels in the city waterways to pump waste into a pump station instead of our creeks and our tributaries. Together, all these efforts to preserve our natural environment for the future, they all come to preserve, sorry. The final piece of the picture is mobility, sorry. As we grapple with carbon pollution and traffic congestion, mobility, even in a car-centric place like Annapolis, is changing. This presents wonderful opportunities. New mobility services, including sustainable electrical transportation options and new, more efficient on-demand services. In the past year, our Transportation Department, under the leadership of Director Marcus Moore, has worked with Planning and Zoning to implement new micro-mobility services like Bird and Annapolis Go. A few months ago, we added our new electric 10-minute trolleys to the mix. All ways people can now get around Annapolis without directly burning fossil fuel or adding to congestion. Recently, the United States Department of Transportation approved our electric ferry proposal with a grant for $3 million. Thanks again to our grant writing ninjas. This means that once again, Annapolis will set the pace in line with the new governor's objectives for the state, with, as we believe, the first fully electric bike-to-ferry option ferry service in the country. Our planet deserves leadership at all levels of government, willing to find ways to move away from transit options that exaggerate our carbon footprint. When municipal government can provide greener transit options, there is a convenience to residents alongside the environmental benefits. Importantly, these new mobility options also position Annapolis for a sustainable growth, economic development, and new jobs. We are also advancing mobility through trails, including an extension of the Poplar Trail, the College Creek Connector, and the Bay Ridge Ave and Chesapeake Avenue corridor. In total, funds for these projects add up to more than $5 million in federal and state grants. This will provide alternative transit options, increased water access, and connection to our region. These are the largest amounts of funding the city has ever received for such projects, and I thank our grant writing ninjas for their tireless efforts to make our vision of a connected, sustainable city a reality for all residents. And before I conclude, if all the directors could please stand up so we could thank your tremendous hard work that you have done through this year, please. Directors, stand up. We've got some standing in the back. In conclusion tonight, I'm proud to report that the state of the city is strong. Not only are we managing responsibly and delivering quality service for residents, we are doing so with dedication and imagination. I thank the City Council for their leadership in building a better and stronger Annapolis, and for working with my staff and city directors on details of this budget and providing oversight in the spending priorities for my administration. With the solid city leadership of Michael Malinoff and a professional, dedicated city staff, we are working to meet the needs of today and the challenges of tomorrow, so that Annapolis, the home that we all love, remains a vibrant, livable city for all of us, for our children, and for their children. I thank city staff who make this all possible for their hard work each and every day. It is an honor and a privilege to be your mayor. To both residents and members of the council, I respectfully submit the FY 2024 operating and capital budget. I look forward to working with you to continue to advance our priorities. Thank you. And we just have a little 4-minute video here to summarize it, if the video is working, because we were having technical difficulties. Yes. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
This time entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended to add R25-23, Tennessee Housing and Representatives Expulsion of Democrat Members on first reader. Could I get a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is petitions, reports, and communications, beginning with report by committees.
Alderman O'Neill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Transportation Committee meeting is Wednesday, April 12th, 4 p.m. On our agenda, we have a presentation by Premium Parking, and all are invited here in council chambers. Thank you.
Alderman Pendell Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Standing Committee met on March the 20th, 2023. We took up at that time legislation 0923, adequate public facilities. That piece of legislation was recommended to be moved favorably to the regular council. At that time, continuing in our meeting before, the month before, we had a 3-hour meeting. We continued with a 3-hour meeting. At this meeting, we had an update from our fire department, from our Office of Emergency Management, as well as extensively from Annapolis Police Department. And our April meeting was canceled because we've had 6 hours of meetings in 2 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Rules and City Government Committee met on March 31st. We reviewed several pieces of legislation. CA 123, Charter Amendment dealing with finances, third-party indebtedness, and bonds. The committee gave CA 1 a favorable recommendation. The second was 0923, Adequate Public Facilities, Mitigation of Police Protection, Level Certification Requirements, which also received a favorable recommendation. The third being 01122, Standard Restaurants, B1 District Special Exceptions, was approved with amendments. And lastly, we heard a report on the rental assistance policies and procedures from the Office of Community Services, our social worker, and from the Community Development Administrator. Our next meeting will be on Friday, May 5th, 1 o'clock here in council chambers. All are invited to attend. Thank you.
Alderman Standemeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Economic Matters is meeting on April 19th. We are going to get a briefing on the comp plan and its impact on business development and the city's economy.
Thank you. Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. The Housing and Human Welfare Committee meeting will be tomorrow, actually, April the 11th. We were supposed to meet last Thursday, but had to cancel last minute. We'll be discussing 2 new pieces of legislation, our property tax exemption for public safety employees, as well as the landlord-tenant relations. We postponed our discussion for expedited development review until the planning director is able to meet on that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tierney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met April 5th. We reviewed the fund transfer FT 4-23, which is on the agenda tonight, and gave it a favorable recommendation. This is for economic analysis of the city's resources, land resources. We gave a favorable recommendation to SA 26-23, which is also on the agenda tonight, and that is for the RFP for a consultant to perform a classification and compensation plan review. And we postponed action on R15-23 for the respective milestone inspection ordinance 055-22, as that was postponed as well. We had a general discussion about the budget review, and we established a schedule for the department directors to come before the Finance Committee. I will send out that schedule to all my colleagues, and it would be great if they sent it out to their constituents, because as the mayor said, this is a very transparent process, and it would be very informative for our constituents to see what these departments and department directors do. Those meetings will start the week of April 17th, so that our next scheduled meeting is at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you all. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is comments by the general public.
All right, so we have a few people signed up to speak. Tara, I think we have some good news for you, but not quite. But go ahead. Yeah.
Tara Stout, 1118 August Drive. When Gunny spoke about the Willows, the mayor stated, "We will get it done for you, I promise." Thank you for that. The question is when. We've officially missed public notice for April Planning Commission. To everyone who has offered support due to the press coverage via text, email, phone, or approaching me to say, "Keep fighting the good fight for the Willows," or "We'll be watching tonight," thank you all for your words of encouragement. Rick Hutzel wondered if Dewan and I had spoken prior to that meeting. In case anyone else wonders, the answer is no. Unfortunately, not a peep from planning. My comments are not personal. They are a plea to treat the Willows like every other project. Council members and residents are entitled to question how city leadership prioritizes projects. The facts are, planning's held the Willows in limbo for longer than it took to process another application, also for an infill development. I understand why that project did not require APF. Planning made a mistake. They went to APD and fixed the mistake. People make mistakes. They fix them and they move on. Why is planning using the Willows as the platform to correct mistakes made on Eastport Lofts and Providence Point? Those projects are significantly larger than the Willows and will serve higher income brackets. A process that pits parties against each other until someone is bullied into submission, sues, walks away, or is stalled until the clock runs out is abusive. The decorum or lack thereof at the last council meeting is a symptom of how abusive it can become if you dare to ask questions. Asking questions to find solutions is not aggressive, but evading questions is passive-aggressive. If a resolution by council can require specific action from the Director of Parks and Recs to improve equity via a swim team, where's the resolution to require equity in the application of city code by planning? Quality of life starts with quality housing. I'm neutral on the swim team, but if this resolution is really for low-income families, I'd venture to say they would prefer you prioritize mold-free homes over a few more laps at swim practice. Whose swim team times are you really looking to improve? You affirmed your plans for workforce housing with R123. The distinction between workforce and affordable is affordable serves income levels comparable to public, 50% or below. If the clock runs out on the tax credits, it's likely to cost all of us when you settle this Karen Hacker lawsuit. Please don't let that happen. Use your power effectively. The need for affordable housing spans all ages, and you never know what curveball life might throw your way, creating a need for you or someone in your family. As to the ordinance for higher height onto tonight's agenda for the city dock redevelopment, that's just another example of the disparity. Fixing the code for your priority, but not applying the current code for what our most vulnerable residents need. I really hope there is positive news tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Curtis Jones.
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Curtis Jones. I live at 1400 Breton View Road, Annapolis, Maryland, 21409. And I always make the statement, I do not live in the city, I live in the county. I just have a city address. The first thing I want to do is recognize the Department of Emergency Management. The American Legion on Forest Drive, Post 141, has worked with them extensively during the last 2 years, actually throughout COVID, by manning COVID shot sites, emergency management training facilities, and the list goes on. But we still stand with those guys. And now what I wanted to talk about was affordable housing and also the need of it, because I had a widower come to me this morning. Her husband was a veteran. He passed, and now she can't afford to stay in the house she has, and she's looking for something different. And I still say we have veterans that live in the city that cannot afford to stay here. They're living with their family, friends, and they're homeless. And I still talk about the lady in the van that was on Forest Drive who was sitting in the Reba Festival parking lot, who was actually homeless. I've seen her again. And so, when we look on the street as you come down Chicken Brown Road, we see people standing on the corner having a sign up saying, homeless, please help, anything will help. So there comes a point in time when we must move on to get this thing off the dime and get it going. And that's all I have, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Curtis. Next up for 3 minutes, Tyler Lichtenberg. Please come forward, state your full name and address. Thanks, Tyler.
Tyler Lichtenberg, 121 Sunset Drive, 21403. Good evening, Mayor Buckley and honorable members of this council. My name is Tyler Lichtenberg. I am a 17-year-old who's been employed at the Kenneth R. Dunn Municipal Pool for the last 2 seasons and a former swimmer for the Penguin swim team. I am here today to share why I believe you should oppose Resolution 24-23. Certainly, having a swim team is an important program and allows children to see why swimming as a vital skill in sport, but when the Penguins monopolize the lap pool at the most busiest time of the day, they are taking time away from hardworking tax-paying residents who wish to use the lap pool after a hard day at work. The Penguin swim team is important, but so are taxpayers who overwhelmingly fund the pool's payroll and operations. This monopolization of the lap pool during the busiest time of the day has made pool staff vulnerable to an unsafe working environment, where I and many of my coworkers have been screamed at, verbally abused, and threatened. These events happen because hardworking tax-paying residents are frustrated that they cannot enter the pool facility due to lower capacity, or that they cannot swim in the lap pool and are forced to swim in a 3-foot pool catered to and overwhelmingly used by children. According to the 2022 Penguin swim team roster, of the 140 swimmers, 83 are non-resident and 57 are resident. These totals equate to roughly 60% of the swimmers as non-residents. Most of all, it is unfair that the member who introduced this legislation, their own child is on the swim team, and this is a personal conflict of interest. The residents and taxpayers of Annapolis should receive privilege and precedence over a majority non-resident swim team. This council was sworn in under oath to represent and act in the interest of the City of Annapolis residents. In this case, an equitable decision is to split the lap pool in half. The public shall receive 3 lanes, and the Penguin shall receive also 3 lanes. This is an inclusive option. In reality, reducing the Penguins' practices to 3 or 4 lanes, or even 4 lanes, will neither eliminate nor force out the Penguin swim team. Your vote on this resolution is purely your political decision. When you make these decisions, you must put taxpayers and constituents' interests first. A yes vote on this resolution is a vote against pool staff safety and a vote against the constituency. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tyler. Next up, Edie Anderson.
Good evening. Good evening. Esteemed members of the City Council and all gathered this evening, I thank you for the opportunity.
Edie, if you could just, full name and address, please, for the record.
My
Thank
name
you.
is Edie Anderson, and my address is 3101 Katrina Lane, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403. Esteemed members of the City Council and all gathered here this evening, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share a few words in support of the Truxtun Park Swim Team Program. When we think of the Truxtun Penguin Swim Team, many adjectives come to mind: purposeful, essential, necessary, goal-oriented, unifying, inspiring, and special. The Mighty Penguins team is a beacon of hope and a safe haven for many of our kids and families. It is extremely disheartening to imagine such a beloved program, which speaks to all we need and want in our community, being challenged with operational over-the-top restrictions that in effect threatens its existence and vitality. We as a community need the vitality of this program. Why? Because it is a program that offers access to all. There are no socioeconomic barriers. A program that keeps our children positively focused and disciplined during the summer months. A program that offers the opportunity to develop a new life skill and positive habits. A program that builds a sense of community. A program that empowers. A program that dares to embolden its swimmers to achieve excellence. Honestly, we should not be here simply to preserve the Truxtun Park swim team program as it is now, but rather should be looking at other ways to uplift it even more. Please understand, the swim program saves lives literally and figuratively. With as many as 60% of Black and brown children having little to no swimming ability, according to USA Swimming, it matters to have a robust swim program in our community. As a resident of Anne Arundel County, my family chooses to be a part of this amazing team because its inclusivity in every capacity is genuine and reflects its commitment to developing swimmers of all abilities. Let us take action today to save the Mighty Penguins swim team, a team that has for 2 decades been a shining star for Annapolis. Just go to any swim meet. You will see who has this commitment to diversity. Let's commit to fostering an environment of fun learning for our kids that yields statistics of achievements and not wayward social failure, with a task force on the back end asking, what can we do for our kids? We are here with humble hearts to share what we can do. Save the Truxtun Penguins team, because if we don't find a resolution, we'll find our kids with a place that they can no longer swim. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Jen James. Jen James. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Jen James. I do not live in the city of Annapolis, but I am a contractor for the city, speaking on behalf of the Penguins. I'm going to keep it brief.
Just an address, please. Thank you.
Yes, 2015 Old Willow Way.
Thank you so
Crofton.
much. Thank you.
I'm going to keep it brief. Miss Anderson did a fantastic job of saying just about everything that we feel passionate about with the team. I'm getting a little emotional. I am a teacher and a swim coach for the Penguins. I also coach a varsity high school team. And I make a choice each summer to return to this team for the values that it's founded on. I very much appreciate the diverse group of people that we accommodate and the community impact that we have at this pool. I don't think that we can I'd like to help you fully understand. I'm not sure that we're valuing the impact that this has on students long-term. I've seen it as a coach, I've seen it as a teacher. Students who are in swim programs, we are giving an invaluable access and opportunity to students and swimmers, whether they begin in summer swim and continue on through high school swim, or just summer swimmers who have a boost in confidence and a boost in opportunities they weren't aware that they had to step into roles that they never ever dreamed that they could step into. And I will be brief and explain that I had a swimmer on my high school team that graduated recently from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, largely because he started swimming as a summer swimmer and swam through high school. And he will attest to the fact that he never would have dreamed that he landed where he landed and is doing amazing things today. So please support our resolution, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next up is Morgan Bauer.
Hi, my name is Morgan Bauer and my address is 994 Headwater Road, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the importance of the Truxton Park swim team. I've been a member of the Truxton Park Penguins since 2007 when I was 5 years old. I turned 21 on Friday. My parents thought joining a swim team would be a good place to help develop my swimming skills and to help me make friends. The Truxton Park swim team, we could only join this team because it was the only team in the city that had nighttime practices, as my parents are both full-time working parents. The Truxton Park swim team is very accessible for all the kids around the Annapolis. We are the only team that gives kids the opportunity to swim at nighttime practices. For city kids in particular, summer swim teams can be especially important. Many kids in Annapolis lack a safe and accessible place to swim. By providing a summer swim team, we are giving these kids a chance to experience the joys of swimming and to develop skills that they might not otherwise have an opportunity to learn. Right now, all Annapolis swim teams either require you to be a member of the neighborhood or pay a significant fee to join. Being a city team allows lower fees and more accessibility to a larger group of kids. And the city has significantly benefited from this swim team. Over the years, the city has benefited from most of the older swimmers becoming lifeguards at the pool. Myself, I worked at the pool for 4 years and became a manager at the pool. If the city cannot support a swim team, I'm not sure what other options that these kids are gonna have. And the thought of that makes me sad. Sad for the kids who have been a part of this team, as their summers will not be the same. Sad for myself, because I have been a part of this team for 17 years now. And sad for the city, because it is so short-sighted that it cannot understand the importance of investing in their kids of their community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Christina Corona.
Good evening. My name is Christina Corona. I live at 34 East 26th Street in Baltimore. I am here as the Vice President of the Teachers Association of Anne Arundel County, speaking in favor of the Workforce Housing Bill. Last month, our union voted to endorse this legislation. As you know, Anne Arundel County has a teacher vacancy crisis. Any legislation that you can pass to not only help educators stay in the profession, but continue to work in this county is vitally needed right now. Currently, the starting salary of a new teacher is just over $50,000. Having access to affordable housing will help provide educators with the financial stability they need to remain in education. Also, it is beneficial for educators to live in the same communities where they teach. Not only does this help reduce commute times, which improves one's own quality of life, it also helps to strengthen the bond between educators and their students families. These bonds create strong communities, which are important to students' well-being and academic success. These bonds also help keep educators in our school district. Surrounding counties pay more, which is why so many educators decide to leave this county. However, the reason many stay, despite the lower pay, is the connection they have to this community and its students. In addition to classroom teachers and related service providers, this workforce housing bill will also greatly benefit our education support professionals, our ESPs, which include custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria staff, teaching assistants, and so many other critical school personnel who we also struggle to retain since they too are underpaid. These educators are critical to ensuring we have a well-run school system, creating a safe, high-quality learning environment where our students can thrive. Our ESPs also deserve the ability to afford to live where they work. In addition to supporting educators, this legislation will also help our students and their families. Students' academic achievement can be negatively impacted when their families are struggling financially. Rising housing costs often lead families to cut other costs, which leads to food insecurity and having less money available for other necessities. Here in the Annapolis feeder, there are many vulnerable students who would benefit if their families had increased access to affordable housing. All of our students deserve to have the stability of a fully staffed school with educators who remain year after year. The best educational outcomes are often the product of learning communities in which both students and educators are not stressed by financial pressures. Without these external pressures, students and educators can come to school as their best selves, ready to engage fully in the learning process. I urge you to pass the Workforce Housing Bill, which is an important step to improve the well-being of this entire community, which includes its educators, our students, and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Devin Neal.
For the record, my name is Devin Neal. I am a resident at 1220U Gemini Drive, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403. Mayor Buckley, members of the Annapolis City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak to you today on what I think is a very important issue and many others in this room. I urge you to support the resolution before you to support the Truxtun Parks Penguins swim team. As it's been stated in prior testimony, many of the members of our league, the swim clubs, they are exclusive in that you have to be a member of that community where the pool is located or a member of the pool, which increases the fees or creates barriers to being a part of the team and the sport. As a coach, I am here to help grow the sport and provide positive experiences to these children in addition to the technical aspects that's needed for the sport. We look at the experiences we have, and that helps define who we are as a person. And that's personally why I am here as a coach. I grew up summer swimming, and it was one of the really pivotal experiences in my life that taught me about the investment in our community. We look at these experiences, and it is how we can build commonality with each other and build community and strengthen our relationship with each other and where we live. And that is one of the reasons why I think it's important to support the Truxtun Park Penguins. If you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them, but that is what I have to say.
Thank you. We're just, this is a listening session, so we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next up, Rachel Robinson.
Hello. I hope this is the right time or an appropriate time to speak on O1523 on first reader tonight. Good evening. My name is Rachel Robinson, Vice President of Preservation at Historic Annapolis, 18 Pinckney Street. I'm here to comment on the building and height elevation limit exception for FEMA flood zones in Annapolis. Addressing matters of environmental resiliency are of critical importance, and Annapolis has proven with efforts such as Weather It Together and Keeping History Above Water to be a leader in the national conversation about protecting coastal districts of historic and architectural significance and adapting to sea level rise. How can we mitigate exceptionally vulnerable frontline areas such as City Dock in the face of accelerated change? HA has long been part of the City Dock conversation and supports the infrastructure project, which will be a key resiliency accomplishment and waterside public amenity. Annapolis continues to set the bar with the City Dock project, currently in progress with the rebuilding of Hillman Garage for the removal of surface parking. Most cities would give their eye teeth to have a project of this magnitude underway. It is crucial, however, that all development around City Dock complement the project while being cohesive and sympathetic to the protected historic district. This legislation, O1523, serves to address important compliance with FEMA flood zones. As you know, the area that makes up City Dock is in Flood Zone AE, a special flood hazard area. Any changes to the code and implementation of base flood elevation and freeboard must be coordinated among several agencies to ensure success of the City Dock project. New public and private development must be considered within the context of the wider AE zone and historic district, and this includes treatment and possible elevation of roads and sidewalks. HA strongly recommends that the proposed change to the city code go before the City Planning Commission and the Historic Preservation Commission for recommendations. Of particular importance is the language regarding the definition of the new grade from which the new building heights will be measured. We urge City Council and this administration to do all that you can to ensure a successful City Dock project through interagency coordination and a transparent design and planning process that provides meaningful public participation and input. Historic Annapolis looks forward to working with all of you on all aspects of City Dock. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Pearl Alexander.
Hello, I'm Pearl Alexander. I live on 35 Enclave Court, Ward 5. I was born here and moved here in 2nd grade so I can go to Summit School. Amazing community, but a small one. In 2nd grade, I only had 7 other classmates, including me. The Penguins helped me make friends and other people my age so I can get along with. They made my summer days more fun, way more fun and better. I won multiple ribbons over the years, which made me very happy. I made other friends outside of the community, and I get to meet with them every once in a while. Thank you for.
Next is Steph Alexander.
Sorry, yes, Stephen Alexander.
Stephen, okay.
35 Enclave Court, Annapolis, Maryland, Ward 5, Pearl's proud dad. So I am also a member of the Truxton Swim Team Board. I'm here to point out a couple of things or talk about a few things. One is, I believe Australia and the city of Annapolis have something in common beyond the wonderful mayor, and that is swimming as part of our identity. Swimming has been part of this city or Truxton Swim Team has been part of this city for nearly 20 years. And during that 20 years, we have always had access to the pool to do practice in a safe manner. The city itself has posted this in the past that it was going to be 5 lanes because that is what's safe for the kids. We are not asking for more. We're not asking for more time than we've had in the past. We're not asking for more lanes. We're not asking for more money, any of those things. We are just simply asking that we can continue to be a vibrant part of this city and its identity. That is the main thing we're after. Additionally, some of you may know, this past year, we became a 501(c), so a nonprofit. We've not run this swim team previously. The city did itself, so some of the things we did not have access to, we were not able to do previously, such as really control or provide more scholarships. That is something we are intending to do. That is a major part of our mission, is to increase the number of scholarships for our kids. We understand that this is a city swim team. This is for Annapolis. So that is our main goal and our primary purpose. Thank you for your time.
Would anyone else like to come forward and speak? That's the last people signed up.
Hello. Greetings, everyone.
How you doing?
You all have all probably seen me enough in life up here, but I'm here on a different cause today. My name is Randy Kenyatta Rao Jr., 840 Monroe Street, Ward 8, and also the chair of the City of Annapolis Environmental Commission. But I'm here today also as a parent of Penguin and also a volunteer. I'm in support of the 24-23. And just wanted to drop a few things to think about in this regard. I grew up in the city of Annapolis, graduated from Barnett High School, also attended Annapolis High School. I also was a swim, got my swim education from Anne Arundel Community College. And I also was a lifeguard when I was in college as well. And so, you know, one of the things that makes it tough to access our waterways is access itself, having a public access to those things. And we all know gentrification has kind of played a big part in cornering off a lot of our waterways that at once were places that people would swim a lot and become more familiar with the environment. And most recently, the school system has a push to, you know, drown proofing. Also, Maryland was the first state in the United States of America to have a public mandate in the school system, K through 12, for environmental and outdoor education. So what the combination of all that kind of equates to is not only do we need to support these types of programs, but we should probably double down a little bit and add more resources and more opportunities for this level of engagement with our outdoors, especially post-COVID, and especially with the emphasis for our Chesapeake Bay seeking to be a national recreation and park, much like the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone. So with a lot of those federal dollars, maybe this is an opportunity to invent or become more innovative in how we are looking at the access that we have for, our waterways and things of the outdoors. Because if what it sounds like is it's a space issue, maybe there's a need to expand, and maybe there's a need to create more opportunities to do more outreach and paid outreach in some of these communities that could serve to offset the prison to, school to prison pipeline. I'm sure you all have heard of things like that. And with the youth in our city, it's a prime opportunity to get them a chance to, get into a program like this. So my daughter's been a penguin for maybe like three years. So it's been a pleasure, and I'm in support of it. And in fact, I feel like it's a great opportunity to double down with our resources and come up with an innovative approach to where everyone can be happy. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Joe Pilot, President of the Annapolis Professional Firefighters, IAFF Local 1926. I'm here to speak in support of Workforce Housing Bill 040-22.
So just an address as well, please.
1790 Forest Drive.
Thank you.
Within our union of 124 members, only 13 reside in the city. Half of our membership is at or below the median household income of around $91,000. This bill would help draw more of our members to live in the city where they work, whether renting or buying. And it would benefit not only our members, but also the city. The reinvestment into the community, increased support of local businesses, lower commute times, lower transportation costs because of the transportation options like walking, cycling, public transit. Programs like this can also increase our recruitment and retention. The recent rates of inflation and cost of living continue to be of concern with our members and investing in their future. Our organization looks forward to the development of 040-22 and would offer any further support or development with the implementation of such a bill. And I hope all of the City Council supports this bill because it supports us, the city workers. Thank you.
Thank you. How you doing?
My name is Julia Kimmenin. I live on 704 7th Avenue. I am a student at Eastboro Elementary. I support the resolution 23. Dear City Council, the reason I like the Penguins is because it gives me something to do in the summer. It makes me feel like I can do sports. It helps me stay healthy. I do not like that we could be crammed into 4 lanes, so it can be a fun summer. Julia.
Hi, I'm Natalie Swope. I live at 908 St. Eva Lane. I just wanted to reiterate what has been said before me. This swim team really is an opportunity for all from ages 4 to 18, from all different neighborhoods, all different backgrounds. And it really represents a wonderful community that I've been a part of for 11 years now. And we recognize that it needs facility and resources. So we asked for you guys to help us out with that facility and resources that we've used for 20 years. Thank you.
Eric
Eric Moran, 2912 Boyd's Cove Drive, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401. I'm here to support 2423 for the Penguins. I ask everyone here who is supporting the Penguins to stand up so you can see our representation. The Penguins truly is a community. When our kids were born, it was important that they learn how to swim. We live near the water. It's very crucial. We enlisted Brooke Moore. Some of you may have experienced Brooke Moore in the past. She gave swim lessons, and she recommended the Penguins. She also recommended going to Truxton Park. During the summer, when my kids were 4 or 5, we were looking at activities for them to participate in during the summer. We participated in the splash camps, and as part of that, we wanted them to obtain more swim lessons, so we felt more comfortable sending them to those splash camps at Pitt Moyer and Truxton Park. The teacher at those swim lessons was a lifeguard and also part of the Gonzalez family. And if you're familiar with the Gonzalez family, they had at least 7 kids who were members of the community, lifeguards, swim coaches for the Penguins throughout the years. That's the community that we got into. I have also been on the board for, 8 years at least. My kids are now 17 and 14, and it is important that we practice in a safe manner. Imagine putting 40 kids in 3 lanes that are age 13 and over in a 25-yard pool. You have, do the math for me. How many kids per lane? That's almost 10 kids per lane that are ranging anywhere between 5 feet and 6.5 feet tall. That is a safety risk. That is a safety hazard. Injuries will occur. Yes, they can occur anytime. However, that makes it more possible for injuries at the pool. All we're asking for is the same thing that we've received and at the old pool. At the old pool, the entire complex was shut down. It was a single pool. We didn't ask for more when we got the new pool. The pool has remained open to service the community in other ways because you now have 3 pools. All we're asking is for the same thing that we've had the entire time that I've been a part of this community. We have grown the team since the new pool has opened. We've gone from 90 swimmers up to 140. How can you expand the growth of the team and reduce a safe environment for those swimmers? That's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you.
We are the Penguins 2. Mighty Penguins 3. Break it down. Fly back, breast free. 1. We are the Penguins 2. The Mighty Penguins 3. Break it down. Fly back, breast free. 1. We are the Penguins 2. The Mighty Penguins 3. Break it down. Fly back, breast free. Go!
Anybody else like to come forward and speak?
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Stanford Womack Sr. My address is 21 Silopana Road, Annapolis, Maryland. I'm the CEO of the Annapolis All-Stars, which is a youth sports organization located here in the city. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Penguins. Actually, I don't know many members of the Penguins, but I'm very passionate about the ability of young people to get to learn how to swim. And some of it is based on my own personal experience. I'm a lifelong member of the city of Annapolis. You know, I took a leadership Anne Arundel course back in 2000 with a class of 00, by the way. But I found out something that I didn't know, and I'm 71 years old, soon to be 72. I found out that Annapolis has more shoreline than any other community in the country. Not just in the county, not just in the state, but in the country. You know, you can't even get into Annapolis without crossing water almost. And a lot of the kids that we serve are from underserved communities, and a lot of the kids who are from underserved communities can't swim. And to have so much water around us and kids not being able to swim, that bothers me. So that's the reason that I came out in support of the Penguins. I'm hoping that you guys will stay true to your word and increase the number of scholarships, because it's important for underserved kids. So I just want to say, consider this bill, this resolution. Please consider it seriously, because we do need swimming in the city of Annapolis. Thank you.
One more. Hello. Hi, I'm Emily Tomasini, 212 Eastern Avenue, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403. One of the things, I'm on the Recreation Advisory Board with Stan. Thank you, Stan. And I am passionate about youth sports. My kids swim for the Penguins, full disclosure. One of the things that I started on the Recreation Advisory Board at least 5 or 6 months ago was a swim pipeline initiative. Because when I looked around, I saw this problem. There's a pipeline missing in the city of Annapolis for kids to learn to swim and then be able to swim on a swim team and then become a lifeguard and then go to get water trained safety so that they can teach lifeguards or coach, right? So that's one of the things that we're working on. And the Penguins have been involved in this, and the city has been involved in this, and I think that cutting the lanes for the swim team doesn't give them the chance to keep working on this swim pipeline. So I hope that you'll support it, and 5 lanes is what they need. And I think that over the summer, we can start to talk about how to make it better for everybody, right? If there are more lanes are needed, then we can start to keep track of how many times the pool is over capacity and what the capacity is. But right now, I don't know that we have all that information. And I think that a summer of 5 lanes again, we can come back to this a year from now when everybody has time to adjust and figure out what the solution is. So thanks for listening.
Anybody else like to come forward? We just want to say a big thank you to the Penguins and all that you've done for this city. We truly appreciate you. Thank you for your patience as we work through this, because it is a brand new pool. It hadn't been upgraded for a long time, and there are challenges that come with that, but we truly appreciate everything you've done for our kids. My kid was a Penguin for a year and was a lifeguard for a year as well because of you guys, so thank you. And seeing no motion in the chamber, I declare comments by the general public closed. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Not sure if it's the appropriate time. I think it is to pull an item off of the consent calendar, SA 2623.
It's not on there. It's not on
Oh, okay, I see. That's on the business and miscellaneous. Okay, it says consent calendar beginning then. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Thank you so much.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Barkley?
Yeah, aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney? Aye. Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is business and miscellaneous items, beginning with supplemental appropriations, $50,000 and over, beginning with SA 2623, reserved for one-time uses, general fund, contractual services.
Is there a motion to approve SA 26-23?
So, second.
Thank you. Alderman Gay has his hand up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. While I am wildly supportive of this idea, and I have previously supported it in the last 3 budgets for some sort of compensation plan review or career ladder, I think the scope of $338,000 is a bit much for me. I'm wondering if it was outsourced for a bid process, or did the HR department just select this based off of previous relations? I mean, $338,000 is a lot for a compensation plan review. I mean, we could be using that $338,000 to raise salaries.
I'll go to the Trish, HR Director. Trish, thank you.
Tricia Hopkins, Human Resources Manager. Alderman Gay, to answer your question, what we're doing is trying to do a very thorough and complete comprehensive classification and compensation plan, which is also total compensation. So to that end, we're looking towards benefits, we're looking at pension plan as well as part of that initiative. We have had interest from our Financial Advisory Commission to do so in the pension area, so we're honoring that expectation. We are wanting to make sure that we are looking at what makes us competitive with other jurisdictions in that regard, and we have looked at, I've utilized the e-commerce options out there to see what other public agencies are using for established classification and compensation specialists, companies out there that have done work in this local area and beyond. To that end, we are looking at and soliciting information for proposals from those that have been vetted, those that have been considered to be, from my colleagues around the area who are working with vendors, to be reliable vendors and capable of the task.
Is this just like a rough number just to say we could?
It is.
Awesome, I appreciate that.
Yes.
We'll support it. I hope we can stay below that number, definitely. But I support this initiative. My last question is, would it be beneficial if we just were to do a task force and allot maybe like $50,000 of this $338,000 for resources and research, print materials, access to, smaller scale outsource, projects? Is that an option? I think that's similar to what they did with like the city dock plan and a number of other plans where they just created a task force and gave them a very small budget to work within, and they presented a report back on what was best.
So that is not a funded element of this particular one. I'm guessing that's something that we practically absorb ourselves, but
Mr. City Manager. Mr. City Manager.
Yeah.
So, Michael Malinoff, City Manager. To answer your question, the approach that we're using on this is, as the HR Director mentioned, is seeing what our colleagues in our other communities are using as resources to analyze what salaries are looking like in other communities as well as benefits. I think the task force will be you all through the budget process. And I will say that the Finance Director weighed in on this idea because we wanted to do this in a timely manner so that it would coordinate with this budget that you're going to be reviewing. And within the budget, there'll be a sufficient amount of money based on the outcomes of this study. We're not sure where it will be, but we won't leave the salary component of it without possibilities of being funded. There were a number of departments that asked for reclassifications, and rather than piecemeal those and pick them off onesie-twosies, we decided this would be the more comprehensive way to do it. I know that Ms. Hopkins has talked to her colleagues at Anne Arundel County, for example, about the compensation study group they're using in other communities. In addition, we're looking at benefits. One of the issues the FAC has asked us to look at is a defined contribution plan for retirement plans. It's something that you find in some communities in the state, and quite often younger employees like it because they are able to come in and move around and carry that 401 or 457 with them. So in addition to doing the compensation, we're going to be looking at whether or not that can be achieved. Part of the feedback we've been given by the state is the comparability of our plan in that format with the defined benefit plan that we now have that has a 10-year vesting. and whether we'll have to contribute to that or not. And those, so what I'm getting at is a very complex analysis that we're looking for, and I think Ms. Hopkins has done a good job of identifying the professionals, and then we'll bring the presentation and recommendations back to the council once we're completed, and hopefully be able to compensate our employees appropriately.
Thank you so much. And the last question, Mr. Mayor, what's the current total of because this is coming out of one-time use funds, which the council is practically the only source of funding we have to do any projects. I know that typically the one-time use fund is about 1.5 million. This is 338,000 of it.
It's not, Councilman Gay, it's not out of the ARPA funds.
Well, not the ARPA, because the ARPA was assigned in the last budget for public safety salaries and projects related to COVID. And so this is coming directly out of the one-time use funds, which the council primarily uses, and this is $338,000 of that. I'm wondering what the current or the existing total is in comparison to the $338,000 that we may be taking out tonight.
Director Dickinson.
Yes, Jody Dickinson, Finance Director. I'm trying to find the page with that information. So if you consider what we programmed to spend from one time in FY23 and what we've got programmed to spend in ~24, and include what I project we're going to add to the one-time reserve at the end of this year, we will have $4,119,000 left. I'm projecting a year forward, considering what we want to do in '24, what we want to do in '23, and what we believe we're going to add to the reserve. There's $4 million left. This will decrease that amount by $338,000.
Awesome, thank you so much.
So there's still a substantial amount there.
I'm glad to know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to correct myself. That was the capital reserve fund amount. It's 4.8 million.
4.8. Okay.
So it's larger.
So this will bring it to 4.5.
4.5, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's my fervent hope that this is enough money. I've been here for 2 previous class and comp studies, in my view, and actually one that was shared with former city manager Teresa Sutherland, that we really do need to do a robust study. I would further argue that this will be part and parcel of the grand strategy of developing a strategic plan, performance measures, and then linking employee appraisals to the performance measures by the departments. So I think this is essential for good governance, and I strongly support this supplemental appropriation.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is fund transfer, FT 423, General Planning and Zoning, budget revision transfer, $60,000 of appropriations from salaries and benefits to contractual services within the Department of Planning and Zoning.
So move.
Second. No discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is public hearings, beginning with ordinance 01123, changes to the Resilience Authority of Annapolis and Anne Arundel County.
Thank you.
Second.
Public hearing. Okay, we have 3 people signed up to speak. Please come forward. Joseph Palat. Okay, sorry, wrong. Got you on the other one. Matt Fleming, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor Buckley. So Matt Fleming, work address 44 Calvert Street and home address 124 Spruce Lane, 21403. So I just wanted to use this time, you guys had a long night already, just to take the time to introduce myself. My name is Matt Fleming. And as of 3 months now, I am the Director of the Resilience Authority of Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. I like to say we're the nation's first multi-jurisdictional authority created to develop, finance, support infrastructure projects on behalf of Anne Arundel County and the city of Annapolis. Prior to this opportunity, I spent 25 years at the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. I saw one of my colleagues here, former colleagues here, where I most recently served as Assistant Secretary for Aquatic Resources, all the water side of the agency. I spent the majority of my career in coastal management and coastal restoration. So on behalf of the county executive and the members of my board, which Jared Littman is one of our board members here, he's our treasurer of the board. I want to express our gratitude to Mayor Buckley and the members of this council for your recognition that climate disruption is real. We're seeing its impacts today, and for making responding to climate change a top priority. I would also like to thank you for your support of our suggested modification to the ordinance as it relates to the Resilience Authority and the process of adopting the bylaws and the standard operating procedures. It became clear to us that certain provisions of the existing code were contradictory and needed some further clarification. Those amendments are the subject of the ordinance that's before you and represent the recommendations of my board members and to ensure that the Resilience Authority is on solid foot from the start. I won't go into great detail because I know Mike Lyles and Jackie did a great job kind of going through this in some of the work sessions, but just a quick summary of the proposed changes. There's a desire of the board members to set term limits, no more than 3 consecutive terms, and stagger the terms so they don't all end on the same time. We want to codify the Resilience Authority Director as a county employee who is compensated and his compensation is fixed by the county executive. This is what is occurring today, and it's what is reflected in the county legislation, so it's kind of bring those into in sync. There is some contradictory language as it related to the chief financial officer position, so let's just kind of clarify that, clean that up, and clarify the chain of command for that. And most importantly, in the time-sensitive piece, it's the calendar, fiscal year versus calendar year. As it currently stands, by January 1, the authority has to provide audited financial statements for the previous calendar year to the mayor, city council, county executive, and the county council, as well as the state senate and delegate committees. As you can imagine, it's nearly impossible to provide an audited financial statements January 1st, the day after the calendar year closes. So what we want to do is bring our reporting period and the fiscal year to coincide with the city and the county. So therefore, by January 1 of each year, the authority will have to provide audited statements for the previous fiscal year to end June 30th. So in closing, I want to thank you again for the support of the authority and the proposed amendments for you this evening. And I look forward to meeting with you either as a group or as individually for a coffee to explain the work that we do, the work of the authority, and to explore future collaboration. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. We truly appreciate you. We're looking forward to working with you. Thank you so much. Next, and I want to make Chris is signed up. Chris Sechin, does that sound right? Chris Sechin, it might have been signed up for the last hearing. I see no Chris coming forward. Would anyone else like to come forward and speak on 011-23? Thank you. I declare the public hearing closed on 011-23. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative actions on first reader, beginning with ordinance 01423, FY 2024 budget and appropriation and property tax levy.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? I'll refer 0-14-22 to the Finance Committee, Financial Advisory Commission, and the Planning Commission. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is ordinance 01523 on first reader, building height and elevation limit exception for FEMA flood zones in Annapolis.
So a motion. Thank you. Could I get a second? Thank you. Alderman Tierney.
Yes, may I ask that that be referred to the Historic Preservation Commission and the Planning Commission?
Sorry? So we do have, I just want to point out to the council, that we are trying to get City Dock finished before the election. So the more we draw it out, the less chance that has of happening. But of course, by your request, we're going to put it to the Planning Commission and Rules of City Government Committee already, Historic Planning Commission, and what else? And rules?
Environmental matters.
Sorry?
Environmental matters.
Yeah. So, can you all hear me what I'm saying here? We've got a short timeline. We finished the garage in a year. We want to be able to be efficient, and this is going to be a 2 or 3 year project. We have that long to get through. So, environmental matters.
Mr. Mayor, I have a quick question. Does it impact, I'm concerned like you are about the timeline and the financing of the project. If it goes to the committees and they get into some sort of debacle and it is postponed, we are likely to stand an increase in expending towards the project, correct? And delays in construction costs, materials, etc.
So we have a construction team, Whiting Turner, that has us scheduled for a certain amount. They have been very effective with the garage. If there are windows that are lost, we could potentially use them as well. So I just ask that you all try to get them out of your committees as soon as possible, please.
I would agree with you. I'm concerned about that because I remember the, Public Works project that was delayed by like 3 months and it went up X amount of millions of dollars or something like that. My question, I guess, to my colleague is, what would your concern be about this if it's been vetted and this is something that the administration would support as it would help us move forward with a project?
Alderman Tierney?
Yes, as you heard from the previous testimony, adjusting the base elevation of the built environments at City Dock involves historic structures. This should not be done in a vacuum. And all I'm asking is that the Historic Preservation Commission gets involved in this because it affects them. And again,
your concern just generally related to the height increases, or is it related to structural integrity, structural changes?
The bill is just addressing the FEMA base elevation due to flooding. It isn't addressing anything about elevation changes. So if you affect the base elevation, it does affect the base elevation of our built environment in the historic district in that floodplain. So I think HPC should be involved in the discussion, that's all. That's the only, HPC and planning, which is already seeing it.
And in the area that is, and maybe we should get Eileen Fogarty to come forward. We're not talking about an area where there are any historic structures, just the City Dock parking lot area, right?
They can look at it at their next meeting. I don't know what the problem is.
I think it can go to committee, but I'm not sure about HPC at this point. It will go to HPC. Of course, everything goes to HPC. Everything goes to the Planning Commission. But this is about your committees, first of all. Eileen?
Good evening. Delighted to see everybody here this evening. This is a fairly straightforward ordinance in that FEMA requires that buildings in a very narrow area, the FEMA flood zone AE, that these buildings, when there's new construction, be built up 7 feet. The city is going to be, is designing a waterfront welcome center, which will be within this area, which will also have a basement, so that will mean it will be built up 8 feet. Working with planning and zoning and John Manasseh in the code division, they recommended the 8 feet, so it's simply to comply with FEMA. By way of background, when I came here a million years ago, there was a building called the Atman Glazer Building, which is what triggered the original requirement in the code. The Atman Glazer Building was built up to create an additional floor, and then the height was measured from that height. to make sure that that didn't happen in the future, the code requirement that buildings be built from pre-existing heights was initiated. So that's where, that was the concern that was trying to be addressed by this portion of the code. And again, this is fairly narrow. It's just in that floodplain area to comply with FEMA.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to recommend that we invite Historic Preservation to come to the Rules Committee meeting so that they would have an opportunity. They're not a standing committee, but we do want to have their input. So the Rules Committee would be, I would think, the place for that to occur.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
But I do question, and maybe Ms. Fogarty can clarify, I mean, this is FEMA. We don't really have a choice, do we?
No, Alderman Arnett. Well, the choice is taking the second floor off buildings so that they would not be able to comply with the base height or complying with FEMA.
I mean, it's going to go to the Planning Commission, Rules Commission. I need the city manager's input on this. Is it HPC now or is it HPC later? When
I just came in after the discussion, so I don't mean to be the clerk.
I just wanted to say for the record, the referrals typically happen after the ordinance has had its public hearing. So then they're referred to the standing committees and the committees that they were referred to. So then this would be on the agenda for the next meeting as a public hearing. Yeah.
So
It's
the
on
public
first reading,
hearing is
yeah.
coming up for it, so there wasn't
Yeah. It would be on the next agenda because it's the first reader of this meeting and it is an ordinance, so, oh, no, it wouldn't, I'm sorry,
just
it's
was,
referred to
yeah.
I'm sorry, confused. It's referred to Planning Commission, so it wouldn't go on the agenda until it came back from the Planning Commission for its public hearing with the city council.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been through its public hearing. It's got to go through Planning Commission.
Right.
It's got to go through HPC, right? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Resolution R2123, FY 2024 fees schedule.
Second.
Discussion, all those in, Alderman.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I hate that because we're rolling, but I'm only seeing one page here, and I'm wondering if this is also being sent to the financial committees where we'll have a chance to review it.
It's going to go to Finance Committee and the Financial Advisory
Okay, cool,
Commission.
yeah, because I'm just seeing R120, when I click that, it's just only one page. Okay.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I refer R22-23 to the Finance Committee and the Financial Advisory Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item the next item on the agenda is R2223, FY 2024 fines schedule.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I refer R-23-23 to the Finance Committee and the Financial Advisory Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R2323, FY 2024 position classifications and pay plan.
So moved. Can I get a motion? Second, please.
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Resolution R2423, support for Penguin Swim Team practices and meets at Kenneth R. Dunn Municipal Swimming Pool.
And I do need to refer that to the Finance Committee, right, before, sorry, R2423.
Motion in a second.
Thank you. Could I get a motion on R-25-23?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Sorry. You've done that, so now on to this, right? 25-25.
No, you got a motion and a second on 24, you got to need a vote.
I thought.
After the vote.
Okay.
Well, we're in
You got a motion and a second, you either need comment or vote.
Okay. Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I just have a quick question. When it is referred to, I'm assuming the Finance Committee, my ask of the Finance Committee is to get a breakdown of the scholarships for, underserved and minority communities that the Truxton Park swim teams provides. And then additionally, I'd be interested in, I know last year there was some dispute and discussion around who is able to access or any revenue collected from the concession stands. I think there was an issue there last year. And so I'd be interested in learning a little bit more about that in regards to who can sell and at the stand and who can't sell and where does the revenue go. So just those two things, the scholarships for underserved and minority communities, which they stated was a priority tonight. So just tracking that, and then the revenue for concession stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Pindell Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to kind of tack on a little bit to Alderman Gay's request, today I've communicated with two gentlemen who are most willing to help to recruit children from the underserved communities to be a part of the Penguins team, and they have graciously accepted that task.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to vote for this on first reader, but I too believe that there is a great deal of information we still need. And my hope is that there will be room for everybody to get together and compromise and come up with a solution that will satisfy everyone at a certain level. But there is a great deal of information that is not known at this point in time. Not the least of which what the Alderman and Alderwoman have just mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to support the comments just made by Alderwoman Finlayson. I must admit I've heard a lot of different opinions tonight, and I've been getting a lot of email, and I think this is something that is very important and really does need a lot of information shed upon it.
Thank you. Okay, Alderman Tierney.
Yeah, I just want to say, based on the testimony we received, I think that my colleagues will agree that we support the swim team. I was hearing testimony that we are short-sighted and we don't, and that's, the public has to know that we have a resolution in front of us that asks for a lot of specifics that must be discussed, and as my colleagues just said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Gay.
I'm so sorry. One last question, just because this will have to go to committees. We're getting into the warmer months. I'm assuming the swim team is about to start. Is this time sensitive? Is there a date that the swim team starts that we should try to get this out by, or?
Memorial Day.
Alderman Savage would know that. Thank you.
Well, I don't know for sure. Other than that, I know registration has already started, and it's going to be helpful to know sooner rather than later. So, yeah, although I do want to make sure it gets referred to the Recreation Advisory Board, and I think they're meeting this week, so that should not cause any kind of delay. But I don't see any problem about getting answers to folks' questions before the next meeting.
Well,
which would be in 2 weeks.
Alderman Gay?
No, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to step on your toes, but I'm obviously in support of this. I'm concerned because we do have the finance and the budget book and all of that stuff coming up. Will we be able to discuss in detail the financial questions that we have related to this, or a resolution before our next May meeting? I don't think so, because we have like 8 finance meetings. I think the first one starts the 20th, if I'm not mistaken, this Thursday, or some finance meeting starts in the next week. I know that, which would conflict with the schedule for this resolution. And so if maybe we could added to the beginning of one of those meetings. I'm not sure, Alderwoman Tierney, you're the chair. I don't want to step on your toes either, so.
We have a finance
Alderman
committee
Savage?
meeting on the 9th.
But just, I'm not entirely sure why it is getting referred to Finance Committee anyway.
We have one finance committee on the.
True.
Right.
But I mean, there's
I didn't-
usually a fiscal impact note, which
And
some of
the
this
year.
could possibly be addressed in. And, again, this is nothing, as was mentioned, nothing different than was done the past 20 years in the sense that the money would already be included in the budget.
It's a resolution, so no one has requested it to go to the Finance Committee. Have
I thought
you,
you did.
Alderman Finlayson, or not?
I thought the mayor did.
I don't have a problem with that, but I was going to suggest that we look to our city manager. This resolution is about, my interest is in having the director who we hired to do this job make a recommendation and to attempt to work out the differences. And I would hope that the city manager would be part of that discussion. And if those numbers, the financing or the fiscal issues are important at that time, then they will be raised. I'm not sure why it needs to come to finance, but if you would like it to, that'll be fine.
Okay, but no one has recommended, so we won't do that in the interest of getting it through. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favour of R24-23 on first reader, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Resolution R2523, Tennessee House of Representatives expulsion of Democratic members.
Is there a motion to adopt R-25-23 on first reader? Thank you.
Second.
Sure, Alderman Tierney, and I'm sure we all want to be sponsors on this. So.
Yes, I was wondering if I could ask to suspend the rules and get this voted on tonight.
Sure, let's get it through the first one, and we can do that. Yep. Okay.
Second.
Well, we haven't got to that point yet. Let's get it through on first reader. Thank you. We got a first and a second, Regina? Yes. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
That's what I said.
Alderman Tierney. Motion is suspended.
I move to suspend rules.
Okay, can we get a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's 100%. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Can I get a motion on second reader? Alderman Tierney.
I move,
Yes.
Is your mic on?
Yep, you have to say it, yeah.
mic's not on.
Motion.
The mic's not on, yeah. It's on, we voted.
Yep, motion on second, so I need a second
moved,
after you
yeah.
move it. Second, please.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Shademeyer.
Aye.
Alderman Gay. Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney.
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill. Aye. Alderwoman Pendle Charles.
Aye.
Thank you.
I would have said that with a bullhorn if I had one.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative actions on second reader, beginning with Charter Amendment CA-123, Finances, Third-Party Indebtedness and Bonds.
Is there a motion to adopt CA-1-23 on second reader?
So moved.
In a second. Thank you. We have an Alderman Arnett amendment.
Yes, I move Amendment 1, which is,
Can I get a second on that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
the amendment just broadens the language to include more than the, whatever it is. There's two different trust funds involved. There could be others, so. Excuse me, the amendment was drafted by the Office of Law in consultation with the Finance Department to make a more generic category. Help me, somebody, help me, Cynthia. Where is it?
Sounds good.
Yeah, D.
You're correct, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt CA-1-23 as amended on second reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour say Alderman Gay.
Is this for the, okay, I'm sorry, my apologies. I thought this was for capital improvements. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt CA-1-23 on third reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shademeyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Aye. Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is ordinance O-1122, standard restaurants, B1 district special exceptions.
So moved.
Second.
Can I get a second? Thank you. We have First Amendment and just get me up to speed, Alderman O'Neill. This is for you, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I believe that Amendment 3 supersedes Amendment 1 and 2 after going through the Planning Commission and their recommendations. So can we just vote down 1 and 2?
We are okay just to move Amendment
Are
3?
you moving Amendment 3?
Yes.
Second.
Thank you, and not Amendment 1 or 2. No. Okay, for discussion, Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And I hate to be the first one to speak on it because I was not priority on this legislation, but when I look at this, I'm extremely disappointed, and particularly under Section A, general standards for, general standards, well, that's redundant, general standards for standard restaurants. I'm not sure if that's a typo there, but it's extremely redundant. Section 3, the alcoholic beverages shall be served only in conjunction with food service. Totally fine with that. Hours of operation, I think Amendment 1 should be considered, and that it should be pushed back to 11 o'clock p.m. instead of 10 o'clock p.m. And I just, no bar dancing or live entertainment, no speakers or public address. No portion of a rooftop dining area may be located any closer than 75 feet from a residential structure measured horizontally at grade. I think that's ludicrous. I think C through E, in fact, is ludicrous. And I think that it would do serious harm to our businesses and restaurants that hope to, establish not only a new idea, maybe a new identity, but also entice a new clientele. We're a struggling city. When you look at DC and Baltimore and the restaurants, when you look at DC and Baltimore and the restaurants that pop up left and right, we'll be left behind because of these archaic rules of a small minority. And I just hope that the council would not consider this, and particularly Amendment 3, and look to some alternative. Thank you.
Thank you. So Amendment 3 is on the floor. Alderman Shademeyer, then I'll let you finish it, Alderman Arnett, and then Alderman O'Neill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Gay, while I appreciate where that testimony is coming from, there is no one who will go, we are overburdening our small business and hurting opportunity through archaic regulations more than me. There is, what this is meant for is, it's meant more for community pub style establishments, like directly right in the neighborhoods, not more separated like business districts. So while I am a big fan of outdoor dining, I do think that a 10 o'clock shut off and trying to keep it like a little more quiet community feel is appropriate. There's still allowed enough flexibility, and this does chip away at some of the weird archaic splits that we have in B1, B2, B3. So I think this offers a pretty decent balance. That's my time.
Thank you, Alderman Arnett.
Yeah, similar to my colleague Alderman Chandlemeyer's comments, the Planning Commission recognize that these are restaurants in the midst of communities, and therefore they voted to maintain the B1 separate designation, and the 10 o'clock closing time makes it consistent with rooftop dining and a whole bunch of other closing times. Secondly, in this city, I defy anyone to find a meal being served after 9 o'clock. I mean, we could make it closing at 3 in the morning. There's not going to be anybody doing that. But 10 o'clock is certainly a compromise time to keep that outdoor noise to a minimum.
Thank you. Alderman O'Neill, then Alderman Savage, then Alderman Gay.
Thank you very much. I'd like to point out a couple of things. First, the original intent of this legislation was to bring B1 in line with the other zones in the city. B1 is a very, very small zone, and it affects approximately 6 businesses, or the availability of 6 businesses currently. It was intended to give B1 restaurants the ability to have a bar where you could go and order a glass of wine. Perhaps have a wine bar at some point in time in a B1 district because of constituents' request for such a thing in a B1. In my ward, B1 is Annapolis Street, and only Annapolis Street between Melvin Avenue and Giddings Avenue. No, Melvin Avenue and Taylor Avenue. So it's approximately 3 blocks worth of businesses. The change that the Planning Commission requested is in line with my original request, and that was that they allow a bar under special exemption. So it would still have to go through public hearing. It would still have to be absorbed by the community and taken in by the community. It wouldn't just be a direct access to the ability to have that bar or go beyond. We're not asking to go beyond the 11 or the 10 p.m. dining, to go any later, because it's not necessary. There's not going to be anybody there. So I just wanted to clarify that, and that Amendment 3 really just brings it back to that very basic, giving B1 the opportunity for a special exemption where they didn't have it beforehand.
Thank you. Alderman Savage. Nope. Alderman Gay was next, then Alderman Arnett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, because I am actually confused, but understanding this is a important item, signing that I won't take too long. This is for 6 businesses, the legislation, which I'm.
There could be more.
Okay, well then more. I'm pretty sure I support all of them, or at least 3 of them. I am, though, generally concerned about how restrictive the language is. Will this have any impact on any existing outdoor dining sites or facilities, or is this just for the B1? And can you just give me maybe an example of what would be impacted under B1?
Alderman O'Neill.
Yes, for instance, currently there is a restaurant in a B1 district that has a bar, and it allows people to go to that bar and order a drink, which is actually illegal at this point in time because they don't have that special exemption. So this would allow them to be operating legally, not illegally, legally in that capacity by giving somebody a glass of wine at the bar without them ordering a meal.
Okay, and I'm actually just probably going to abstain just because of the, just because of some of my understanding of the legislation and the direct impacts on locations. I was under the understanding that this was just for a certain ward within the city, and particularly one business, but now I'm understanding that it's different ones, and I don't want to impact, I don't want to harm any business or provide any benefits to certain businesses that others would not have without understanding the full impact that my vote could have. So I'll probably abstain from this.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
Just very quickly, there's actually 3 wards involved. Alderman Chandrameyer has one property in Ward 5, which is the old Annapolis Seafood. There are 2 operating businesses in Ward 8, both of which one has a bar, the other actually has two, and by passing this, we'll make their consistency across Ward 8 and Ward 2 in terms of the availability of the bar inside the restaurants.
Thank you. So we have on the floor an amendment number 3, O'Neill Arnett amendment. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? And abstain? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt O-11-22 on second read as amended?
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt O-11-22 on third reader?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shadow-Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Abstain.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Aye. Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is ordinance O-4022, workforce housing.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
I have a motion.
Yes?
I'd like to move that O-4022 workforce housing motion be, that this legislation be defeated.
Okay. Well, first we need a motion to put it on the floor, right? Nope. All right.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Is that how? We've never done that before. I've just learned something.
Discussion.
Okay, it's open for discussion.
Something
We did this 2 weeks ago. Alderman Shadow-Meyer, sort of.
Now you got a motion and a second, so discussion.
Okay. Look, we know how this is going to play out, but I'm just going to again ring the alarm bell. 43% of our renters are cost burdened. 27% of our owners are cost burdened. This is our own data from the BAE report for the comp plan. This is a 5-alarm fire, you guys. At the moment, if you go to apartments.com, there are only 20 available rentals that are $2,000 or less that you can move into today in a city of 40,000. That's the most public rental website in the city. According to Zillow, there are only 8 houses for sale that are $330,000 or less in the city. By putting this forward as I want this to be defeated, it really doubles down on the message that we're not taking this issue seriously. We can't go, oh, I value affordable housing, but they can live in the county. That means we don't value it here in the city. We can't go, oh, I value affordable housing, but not here, not in my backyard. That means we don't value affordable housing. We can talk about the schools while ignoring the fact that the teachers union and our school board rep have all supported this. We talk about our need for new public safety personnel. Our public safety personnel have endorsed this. We're still going to vote it down. So, we are going to keep losing out on opportunity, losing out on potential if we keep doing what we're doing, guys. That's my time.
Thank you. Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I won't be too much longer than that. I just would like to say that the legislation has been in works for quite some time. Our Housing and Human Welfare Committee, in tandem with the policy analysis, as well as the planning department, has spent a significant amount of time working on the legislation. We've asked our colleagues since the inception of the legislation, if you think you can do something better, propose an amendment or propose an alternative. Not a single one of them have stepped up to do so. Instead, they have pushed back and raised unfounded claims. One, my colleague just mentioned, oh, we raised the idea 10 years ago for our public safety to live in the city. They said they would never live in the city. They don't want to live where they arrest people at. They aren't interested in that. That was a lie. We clearly seen them endorse that as a body tonight and at previous meetings. We, as the Alderman had mentioned, we had concerns from our colleagues of hotels or increased density. That was later proved to be false and debunked by the planning department. I even had concern from one of my colleagues saying, oh, we should be focusing more of our time on addressing the overwhelming amount of parking lots that we have. That was addressed in the amendment. The problem is none of them took the initiative to understand what was in the bill. Even to the point of home ownership, one of my colleagues is saying, I want more home ownership, not renting opportunities. We covered that in the legislation and provided a plan that was even more substantial than the projects previously done that provided home ownership that then ended up needing to be bailed out by the city to the tune of $500,000+ from our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And if anybody would like more information on that, they can look at the property in Ward 4, where the city bailed out those homeowners because they could not get the financing together to purchase their own properties from a failed program. And so here we are proposing new ideas and new programming to assist those families, and it's being flushed down the toilet. I would like to see at some point affordable housing legislation passed. I, like you, Mr. Mayor, I have no more campaigns to run. I'm wiped out. My only goal and my only focus is to make sure that the most vulnerable citizens in the city of Annapolis have an opportunity to live, to work, to play. And I think the foundation of that is affordable housing. And if we fail to do that today or over the next year and a half, we failed as a body in providing the next generation an opportunity for an actual quality of life here if you're not white. And so I think we definitely have to pass some sort of housing legislation. If the council doesn't believe this is it, then I urge them to all come to our meetings and propose their ideas in a way that they will be heard and accepted, just as we've done previously. I'm not sure why they are not willing to come to the table, but it is disappointing. I thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tierney, and Alderman Arnett.
Yeah, just very quickly. I support workforce housing, and I understand this bill. I always did, and I trusted its implementation. But clearly, the public didn't, and it never recovered from that initial rollout. It needed more specifics, but time ran out, and those amendments were never codified. But as I was watching this unfold, I realized that looking at it as sort of a case study and looking and hearing the testimony specifically from my colleagues and from constituents, that we have a bigger problem, and that is trusting our process. That's what I saw in all of this. Until we develop some kind of trust between the constituents and the city's planning and zoning process, we're never going to have anything on workforce housing passed. That's just my opinion, but I think that's a broader issue that we need to address. You know, why is that? Why were we so fearful of this? If you trusted the government, if you trusted our city process, you wouldn't have been so frightened by this. That's what I think anyway. So I really think that in a broader scheme, that's what we really need to fix. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over 15 years ago, Alderwoman Finlayson and I proposed workforce housing legislation in the city. And in fact, we proposed it specifically for police and firefighters, included teachers as well in that legislation. And we, in fact, were not supported by either police or firefighters for a number of reasons, which I think were valid reasons on their parts, but you cannot say that there has not been action on the part of this council many years ago. On this particular legislation, there are several problems, one of which is, as we heard the city attorney say at our last meeting, it's not legally constructed. It would fail. It cannot be put in place. You cannot put R4 density in any zone that has less than R4 density. So having said that, I have said over and over again that I do think there are solutions, there are things that we can do to develop more affordable housing. I choose to focus on affordable rather than just workforce. I do think we have a problem with taxonomy here. We call things by the same name when we're really talking about different things. And so I think we need to start by getting that sorted out. But I firmly believe, Alderman Gay and Alderman Chandlemeyer, that there are things that we can do to increase affordable housing in the city, and that we can do those things working with the planning department, and we can do those things without creating sides, picking sides. And I've spoken to both of you about my ideas on that. I'm not saying my ideas are the only ones, but I think there's certainly ones that I can work with you on, and am willing to do that. I think those are things that we need to be certainly looking at as we get the comp plan delivered to us and we see how it addresses those issues. So I know you worked very hard on this a long time, still are working on it. And I understand the angst that you're feeling about this legislation not maybe necessarily going to be successful, but I would encourage you not to give up, but this time work with a group of us. As far as not coming to your committee, the Rules Committee has been waiting for the Housing and Human Development Committee to finish. And 22 proposed amendments later, you're still not done. I think we can have a clean slate. I think we can start right away. I would be more than happy to work with you to do that. And so I think it's time to have a new start.
Okay, so let's vote on this. All those in favour of the motion to defeat O-40-22, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed, no.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Roll call?
Yes.
Yeah, put them on the record.
Mayor Buckley?
No.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Chandlemeyer?
Nay, home is here.
Okay. Alderman Gay?
No.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderman Tierney?
No.
Alderman O'Neill? Aye. Alderman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just, on this point, I just want to add, how delusional it is to think that because you introduced legislation 15 years ago and you didn't get support, that it should not be supported 15 years later. I did the delusion. I just want to point that out.
Thank you, Alderman. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Ordinance O-223, Budget Target Dates and Financial Impact of Labor Negotiations.
Can I get a motion to adopt O-2-23 on second reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt O-2-23 on third reader?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Chandlemeyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay? Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Ordinance O-623, City of Annapolis Cellular Antenna Lease with New Singular Wireless.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I
Second.
get a second? Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt O-6-23 on third reader?
So moved.
Second.
Second, thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Stoudemire?
Aye.
Alderman Gay? Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Resolution R1323, third-party bond fees.
Is there a motion to adopt R-13-23 on second reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Stoudemire?
Aye.
Alderman Gay? Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, the agenda is complete.
Now, you all have some light reading to go home with. Anything else for good order? Alderman Arnett.
Mr. Mayor, I was very impressed about the number of people who came out to council tonight to hear your State of the City message.
That's hilarious.
I think that was a record. Alderman Stoudemire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had another pedestrian hit recently on the Forest Drive corridor. My last update from our city police and fire is that they were in critical condition. One, please keep them in your thoughts, prayers, whatever deity you go to. Two, slow down on Forest, guys. Come on.
Thank you.
Right outside of Subway. Right outside of Subway.
Anything else for good order?
Subway.
Mr. City Manager.
Smokehouse.
Members of council, I don't normally say much, but
Yeah.
there's a member of our city family, Kevin Scott, who is not doing very well. He is in Anne Arundel Hospital and will be moved home with his family. I don't want to go into great detail where he is right now or physically, but a more gentle, kind individual in my long career I have not met. And I would just like to ask you all to share your thoughts and whatever you do for him and his family. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like
Finlayson.
for us to think about having a hospitality committee, because when we have colleagues who have various situations, we don't do anything to show support for them. I mean, something as minor as sending flowers or other things. And I think I'd like for us to think about how we could do that to support folks, our city staff and so forth.
I'm going to make you committee chair and I'm going to give you some flowers right now. some money right now, sorry. Thank you.
I think we should take some of the 388,000.
Thank you, everybody. So could I get...
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Could I get a second? Second. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.